Boone. I'm an author and documentarian of urban culture. I'm here at Village Works, NYC, and my guest for the evening is Robert Hawkins, the artist, and we're going to ask Robert about his career and what it was like living in New York during the 80s art scenes. So how you doing today, Robert?
I'm all right.
Great,
Yeah.
great. So tell me a little bit about growing up in California and starting your art career very young.
Well, I didn't start my art career until I was quite a bit older than most people that start their art career, I think, because I played around too long. But when I was a little kid, I was just always drawing and always like making stuff, and that was about all I did, and the teachers understood that was about all I did, until my parents like encouraged the art, because that's all he ever can do, whatever. I don't know, but yeah, like in the fifth grade, my teacher didn't even fill out the report card. She just wrote at the top, and she says, "Robert's done nothing all year. I can't even give him grades and stuff." And then we had a system at home where if you got 25 cents, this is a long time ago, you got 25 cents for every A you got. You got 10 cents, you got a dime for every like B you got, and 5 cents for every C you got.
Okay.
And then you had to pay 10 cents for every D you got, and you had to pay a quarter for every F you got. So it added up to like $3.25 that I like owed my parents. But then my dad was all like magnanimous, and he said, "Oh, we'll figure you probably did some art, so we'll take a quarter off that. You only owe us $3." So I had to mow the lawn for the summer, pretty much. But, anyway, and I didn't learn my lesson. It didn't make me like do more schoolwork or anything. But yeah, I just like, play, like did art as play, and then when I was bad, my punishment would be to not draw or paint or anything, or listen to whatever I was listening to. I don't know. But yeah, and then whatever. So I was always like doing art, but I never really did it as a career until I tell people when they'd say like, what do you do? Hello. What do you do for a living? And I'd say I was an artist, because I didn't do anything else for a living. But yeah, when I got to New York, I understood that like seeing other like artists, when I got downtown and I saw like, yeah, they're serious and they produce and stuff like that, and you got to do that. So yeah, through junior high school years, you was like dabbling in art. What'd you draw? Comic book characters or same kind of
same stuff? Ghost and.
Not quite. But whatever, like
monsters.
Surrealistic stuff.
Surrealistic stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Like stuff you can't see in real life, I guess, and might want to or something.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like it. So you went to California, and then you moved to San Francisco, and you get a little bit involved with what was happening in San Francisco, the punk scene. You was dabbling in the, I won't say dabbling, but you was involved in the punk scene. So what was San Francisco like, living around the Hague district?
It was fun, I guess. I mean, even then I was down at my parents' a lot down in Sunnyvale, and I would just, whatever, hitchhike, or my friends would drive up to San Francisco. I didn't even move out of my house. I moved out and moved back in and stuff until I was like in my mid-20s, and yeah, I didn't even, and San Francisco was, anyway, it was what it was. It was gay.
Straight up.
And they all had
Straight-
mustaches and flannel
my God.
shirts.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what?
And they didn't, and I didn't know, I wasn't really paying attention to the art scene. In those days, I don't think there was much of an art scene in San Francisco.
So who are the musicians you like?
In San Francisco at the time?
Yeah, some of the punk artists.
I liked them all, I guess. There wasn't more about which ones I didn't like. But no, I liked the Nuns, and I liked the Offs because they were my friend Rico's friends, and but I probably didn't. I mean, I didn't listen to punk regularly. I didn't buy their records or listen to punk. I don't know what I was listening to, but it wasn't punk. I listened to, but it was fun to go to, you go to Mabuhay Gardens just because that was the funnest place.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, I think I probably went outside when the band started.
And so you said in San Francisco you didn't paint much. So what were you doing if you weren't painting?
Having fun. Just doing
Just young
fun
man.
things.
Young man,
stuff
okay.
like that.
All right.
Wasting my time.
Okay, all right. So what gave you the idea to come here to New York?
Well, because I did, I was an artist, even, if I wasn't like a producing, like that. And I knew that New York was like, the Emerald City, and Andy Warhol was the Wizard of Oz. And you go there like millions of artists just to meet the Wizard of Oz, huh? And so I did.
So you came, did you want to showcase your work, or did you mingle with artists, or you kind of
Well,
kept to
eventually,
yourself?
I pretty much kept to myself. But the people I knew were like arty types and stuff like that. But then I moved to. There was a theater on 2nd Avenue and 4th Street, the Anderson Theater, and my friend Patrick Fox, his father bought it off of Hilly Crystal for back taxes, and it was like completely abandoned, and like there was no electricity or running water. But we lived there for like about 2 years maybe, and that's how it was that corner over there, and it was. And then we started meeting everyone, and that's how I understood that there was. I didn't come down here thinking like I'm going to be in this art scene. Mm-hmm. I came down here. I'm going to be in this abandoned theater, and it was very cool. And run around and play in this abandoned theater, and then start meeting all the people. The bar, the gay bar, was downstairs, and it was like where and they were all artists down there, it seemed like, or hustlers, and or both, and yes, but that's really how, and then I understood that you had that I could be an artist or a professional artist, say, but it really meant producing and stuff like that. So I started producing more anyway, and then we opened an art gallery in the theater because we didn't have anything else to do, and it was by that time we knew a lot of artists and stuff, and in this show, the first show that Patrick ever had over at that place. It was like a condo, the first place, maybe the first or second or something, I don't know. That George Condo showed, and Sue Williams, and Greer Langton, and James Nares, and me and a bunch of, I don't know, a bunch of other people, but you know, and David Bowes, and that, but it didn't last too long. Then whatever, they tore the theater down, and then we went and worked for Tony Shafrazi, and because I had a friend that knew, you know, or that was going to show with him and stuff, and we went to Tony Shafrazi's house one time, and we went up on like Irving Place or something in the 20s and stuff, and Keith Haring was painting the walls. He was like Tony's like assistant, like or not, you know, I mean, you know, there was no gallery. I think Tony was selling stuff out of the house probably or something like that, but yeah, he.
So what was the idea behind working for Tony Shafrazi? I mean, what was he hiring for? Assistants or?
Yeah, he needed somebody to sand the floor of this garage on Mercer Street to turn it into a gallery, and it was just like oil-stained old wood, and we got these like sanders from this weird sander store around the corner, and sanded the floor for a couple of weeks, and then, you know, and painted the walls, and then we worked for him when the gallery was open. We worked for him about, I don't know, less than 6 months, I bet. And we would wear like uniforms. We would wear like Dickies, like green matching pants and shirt, both of us. And Tony didn't like that. And he kept telling us not to, but we did anyway.
You did it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was a pretty well-known dealer, and he's kind of known for bringing in like famous artists to the gallery. Then he went with Basquiat, Keith Haring. Did you run into any of them when you was working for him, or you ran into them at other places?
I ran into them at other places. I mean, like, you know, Keith I saw at the gallery plenty of times. We, you know, those big tarps that are like yellow and some red ones that have like little like hole, like whatever they're called, holes in the side. And we put those up, and we would like, and he painted them upstairs from Tony's gallery on Mercer Street, and we would hand him the paint and stuff when he was up on the ladder, and they were really big, and the paint really stunk. That vinyl paint was really strong, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, we saw them all.
So
Basquiat, I don't know. Basquiat I'd see on the street. I don't know. That's where, I guess, I don't know where I like would have first met him or anything, but yeah, it was just like from seeing him around.
So Keith Haring was he famous at that time, or he was basically unknown?
He was, well, no, he was famous. He was famous because of that. By the time he was in Tony's, that PS 122 thing had already happened, or whatever, or the Times Square thing. I don't know, you know. So that kind of thing was like, yeah, he was well known, but as far as like being famous, that happened pretty quick. It got amazingly quick, and that's what's the weird thing about like the whole East Village, or you know, yeah, whatever, East Village. Yeah, it was quick. It was really quick, and then suddenly it became a scene, and there was just so many galleries, like opening up all the time, and yeah, you couldn't keep up with it.
I'm gonna come back to that, but tell us a little bit about all the shows you did in the '80s, because you participated in a bunch of group shows, and you had a few solo shows in the '80s as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was in that one of the Mud Club shows. I had two shows at Club 57, and one was with this Edward Brzezinski guy that they just made a movie about and so yes, and then I made a haunted house on Halloween too, like a maze, like where you go in the dark and like spider webs going, threads going, and you think there's spider webs or something. But that Club 57 was kind of like somebody else's little party thing, and I wasn't really like seriously in that bunch. I wasn't seriously in any bunch.
So in the 80s, did you have a solo show?
Yep, when Patrick finally opened his gallery, because then Patrick got whatever backing, and he opened a place on Bleecker and Crosby, and I had a solo show there, probably whatever, it lasted about 4 years. I had a solo show there every year, and was in a bunch of group shows there, but I don't know if I got in too many group shows anywhere else. Alexander Wood, I think.
So, you recently, well, you was in a movie about Richard Hamilton, and they interviewed you. So, what was your contact with Richard Hamilton? Don't.
Yeah, we shot up heroin. We
You kidding?
probably smoked some crack. I don't know.
You kidding?
Yeah, it was a drug thing. Yeah.
You did.
Since you asked.
Is this you telling me the truth? Okay, fine. I never interviewed anybody who took heroin. So
Really? Oh yes, you have. You just
so
didn't. They just didn't brag about it like I did.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Poor thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall I leave?
No. I mean, well, like Richard Hamilton
Took drugs?
took
Wow.
a lot of drugs, right?
Yeah.
In the
He took
movie,
a
it's
lot
all
of
about he's a druggie, right?
Yes.
So did you paint with him, or just y'all more
Once.
like friends?
No, I painted with there's a collaboration I did with him that somebody has. I would go, he would go, and Rene Ricard would go to this guy's place, his business, and the guy would have like the paint set up and whatever panels he, just ready for us to paint, just because we were so untogether, whatever, and then we'd just paint the pictures, and he'd give us cash and make us sign a receipt and stuff. And it was very benevolent. It was very good of him to do that. And
Yeah.
and then in that whatever Shadow Man movie, they kind of like started in on this thing about like people exploiting him and giving like little amounts of money for paintings and stuff just so that he could have his drugs and stuff, and made it. But it wasn't like, I mean, it was like if he hadn't have done it, not that we would have done criminal things or anything, but I mean, it was a really nice thing to do, and he wasn't exploiting us. He was helping us.
So the buyers were helping you guys by buying art. So they weren't, and then you did whatever you wanted with the money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you were having these shows in the 80s, like in the movie, Richard Hamilton was selling a lot of work. For you, when you were doing your shows, was your work selling?
No. It's not the kind of thing people want to buy, is it? No.
This show
Well,
sold
they
out. This show
yeah,
sold out.
but they're not going to. I don't know. But that's because it's now. In those days, and that's because I'm Robert Hawkins now.
Okay.
But back in those days, it was like, who want, even then, they're not going to put that on the wall. They're going to roll it up and put it in their basement and save it until I'm dead. But No, it's not the kind of stuff that it's not. It's not what was popular. It was not even close to what like people, was what we're showing in any galleries and stuff. And it was just, it was just off. And no, I didn't sell well.
So, Keith Haring would go to the streets. Richard Hamilton would go to the streets. You never wanted to go to the streets and paint?
I wrote Happy Halloween from Robert Hawkins on the corner of 53rd and 3rd.
That's it, okay.
And then the Rosenbergs years later, or not even years later, but then when I met the Rosenbergs, who lived like whatever Beekman Place and stuff, and they said, "You're Robert Hawkins. We see that sign. We see what you wrote on the wall every day on our way to school." And it was weird, and it'd been there for a long time. It wasn't just for Halloween, no. Yeah.
But that's the only thing you did.
I don't. Street. No, I wasn't like a street artist at all.
All right. Keith Haring wasn't either, but he used the street for his own good, right?
Yeah. No, you saw a lot of Keith all over.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the 90s come. You're still painting, and you according to your long list of resumes, shows. You did a lot of shows in the 90s. So, what were you painting in the 90s? The same kind of imagery, or was you doing something different? 'Cause sometimes artists change.
Yeah. It looked the same except a different subject matter. But it was always stuff that you couldn't see in real life that you maybe wanted to. I don't know, lots of volcanoes, lots of sunsets.
Landscapes?
Yeah, but landscapes was like woolly mammoths and stuff like that. But even then, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really have a thing. I just painted.
What'd you feel?
Weird pictures of weird scenes and stuff.
So in the 90s, you was in a solo show in France?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that like?
I didn't sell anything. I went to France. So I went to France and cleaned up and did some art there, and so whatever, that was it was just a bunch of art that I made in France, and so I thought I'd better show it in France. And what was that? That was a lot of stuff on like things that you found and whatever, drawing things you find.
So it's sad that it didn't sell. So you as an artist, you do these shows over years and years and years. Does that obviously doesn't deter you because you keep painting, but how do you make a living with this so it don't sell? Now I sell enough. Oh, you sell enough.
And the prices are high. I make sure that but it's the same. It's just like I got a bunch of collectors. I got like some collectors that consistently buy stuff. If I paint a picture that I think somebody will like, then I'll like say, oh, this would be good, or I got a good idea, and then they'll say like, oh yeah, paint some of those. And so every once in a while you get like a big lump of money because somebody comes by and stuff.
So is it true that Basquiat was a collector of your work?
Yeah, he bought something out of the Patrick Fox Gallery, and I don't know where it is. Nobody knows where it is anymore. It was big.
It was big. Okay.
It was big, and
40 by 40 feet.
And it was about 8 by 8 feet.
8 by 8 feet.
Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember?
It was a glacier going through a little gap in mountains, and then it went out in the water. So basically, it was a big white circle with some mountains at the top, and then some water around the edges. So stuff, but it was a big white circle basically.
Did he buy it from Patrick, or he came to you and
No,
talked to you about it?
he got it out of the show,
Oh,
and
sure.
we went and hung it in his house.
No kidding.
So I know it was there.
Right here on
Great Jones.
Great Jones.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, he could have moved it or something. I don't know. Glenn O'Brien tried to find it out, like years and years later after he died, because Glenn was whatever, knew the family and knew, had enough like connections to try and figure out where it could have gone, but never showed up. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
Did you feel honored? Did you feel honored that he? A little bit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And he said, finally, there's somebody else that they can copy instead of me. But they didn't. But they didn't copy me. Nobody could.
Your work is Pascal's work compared to your work is two different islands.
Yeah, and yeah.
Two
And
different-
I don't know what else he was buying or anything, but it was weird that my style of painting would like strike a chord with him.
So, you came from San Francisco to New York. Did you ever meet Andy Warhol?
Mm-hmm.
What was he like?
He was very nice, and he was very sweet, and he was very funny, and he was not very serious. And
Fun guy.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. He was great. He was always joking, and pretending he was being serious, and he was joking.
So his factory, where was it?
When I was around, it was like the one on Union Square.
Oh, it was by Union Square.
Northeast corner, I guess, is Union Square.
And what, that was like a hangout spot? You been there, or you?
I went there, but it wasn't like I wasn't gonna I didn't hang out there or anything. It was pretty like secure after he got shot. It was you couldn't just like go in like in the olden days and stuff. But it was a huge deal to go to the factory, and it wasn't like I'm gonna go over and see Andy or anything like that. And I wouldn't, I'd go with somebody or have a good reason to go. I wouldn't just like be whatever invited for the sake of like hanging out or anything like that. But he was very nice, and he liked me, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's sad that one of the people in the factory shot him. Was you in New York at the time?
No, that was before I got there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why the factory was like all
Security.
hard to get, hard to like visit. Yes.
Right. So we enter 2000 and 9/11 happens, and what was your experience with this 9/11 moment?
I was down in Battery Park City, and I was living with my friend Simon, and then it happened, and he was British, and he very resourcefully got me a visa, and his company was sending him back to England anyway, because his where he worked was in World Financial Center, so that was kind of wrecked too. And the apartment, it wasn't wrecked, but the air conditioner was like messed up, and everyone had to leave anyway. And so we went to London, and it's fun in London.
You've been there ever since.
Yeah, 20 years.
So, did any of your friends, co-workers pass away from? They were in the World Financial Center, so he didn't really get.
No, nobody from Simon's work was hurt or anything like that. Luckily.
But all that dust and smoke.
Yeah. No, the situation was like Yeah, you know, when they say when you see them interviewing people for anything like, you know, that was really like astounding news or like, you know, disaster or anything, whatever, and they say like, what were you thinking when it happened? And they go like, I couldn't believe it. It was unbelievable and stuff. And they're not just saying that. I mean, that's what it's like. It's like you cannot believe that this thing is happening. Is it? You know, you're in like this like such a world changing like minute and stuff, and it's happening all around you and stuff, and you just can't believe it. It's not like a dream particularly, but there's something that your mind just goes like, no, like it will not accept what's happening. It's very strange, but that's what it was.
That is so emotional. I mean, I felt it just watching it on TV, how tragic it was, and to be like so close to it, it's unreal. Yeah. Did you want to paint a memorial or anything, or did you want to show something in your art?
Well, I painted some things before that were kind of like related to it, and I stopped painting. They were buildings on fire, and you know, I stopped painting those because I really didn't think anyone would want those after 9/11. Mm-hmm. But they looked good.
You still have those?
I still have everything. I still have everything I mean, not everything, but like, if I didn't lose it. And I lost a lot of art several times just because I was an irresponsible person. But, you know, because I didn't really sell or try to sell anything, I still have it all. And that's why I got in the Club 57 show, because I had the paintings that they talked about in this, in like a catalog that this Ted Castle wrote for the show, and I still had the exact same paintings that he was talking about, so they used those.
So you have enough paintings if you got a phone call from Mona for a retrospect, you're well off.
Right? Yeah.
Right? Cool.
No, I mean that's yeah, and because of the way things are today in art history and stuff like that, the stuff from the 80s is sought after. So I'm lucky I have it, and eventually.
So have you thought about doing a catalog or a monogram of your work? Have you thought about that, or you wait for the call to come?
If somebody wants to do it, they can if they want. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, it sounds like a project.
It sounds like a project.
For me, maybe.
You can do it.
Yeah, I got to find.
No, it's really difficult. I mean, I don't know where the paintings are. Somebody wanted to, and they said, okay, make a list of all your paintings in the order that you painted them, and all their dimensions, and who owns them, and then go to those people and have them hire photographers and take pictures and then send them on. You know, no. If I haven't done it like in all this time, why should I'm not gonna, no. But she's perfectly welcome to do it.
Did you do it?
I can't help her. I can't help myself. I can't.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of work.
And it's. I mean,
that's a lot of
work. I
work.
mean, it's one thing to make a book like we made here, and just make it a fun book that, like, that's just to look at and stuff. But making like a record of your work is, like it's too much for me. Other people can do it. Other people, that's probably easy for them to do. They
Probably
like
if
to do research.
If the material's around, I mean, but but if you have a storage facility where you have 100 paintings, right? Then you can make a monogram of that. Maybe not go. Yeah. I mean, if MoMA does a retrospect, then they'll go chase those people down, which is on them. Mm-hmm. But if you have a storage facility where a photographer could come in and photograph it, it would be great.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: it would make sense if a gallery exhibiting your work, they would take pictures of it and save it.
Mm-hmm.
That's providing the gallery's still around. So,
No.
but it would make sense that there would be photos of the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's some.
there is some. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
there's
enough.
some.
All right, that's good. So in 2000 there was a show called the 80s Art Stars, and you show your work in South Carolina in a gallery with a lot of other well-known artists.
Yeah.
Well, what was that? 80s Art Star? 80s.
That
Art
was
Star
somebody's.
show.
That was somebody's collection, and they put on the show. And I.
Oh, so they already had you. They already bought it.
Yeah. Yeah. The guy that would put up the canvases for us to paint, and he would buy other stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that I never sold anything. I'm just saying like it was rare, and if I did, it rarely went through a gallery.
Okay.
And I didn't even really have it. After Patrick Fox, I was like in a few group shows here and there and stuff, a couple one-man shows and stuff, but I never really had a gallery after that.
Oh, rep. Okay.
Yeah, like that rep me.
Right.
And now I kind of do in England, but I got to be more serious. I say
So
it
when
at the
you're
end of my
close to
career.
someone like a Tony Schiavazzi and he knows you're a painter, does any friendship come in to say, hey, yeah, well, we're having beers together. Why don't you represent my work? Or it doesn't work like that.
Well, it's not. Again, he's got to think of it like his business.
Oh,
They're not going to sell, so he's not going to show stuff that's not going to sell.
But how does that make you feel, man? I mean, you're an artist. You.
They're stupid. I don't care. If they don't, they're not stupid. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, what am I going to do about it? Change for them? I'm not going to do that. I'm just painting the pictures. That's my job, or that's all I can do. It's up to other people to like peddle them. I'm not going to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Having an artist peddle their own work is kind of tough, But okay, so you did a project on Andy Warhol in Interview magazine. Doing research, I was trying to find it. So since I couldn't find it, I'm gonna ask you what was in it.
So I was going to interview Rene Ricard for like Andy Warhol's 80th birth. If he'd been still alive, he would have been 80, I guess. And they did a special interview issue. And because Glenn O'Brien owned the magazine, or owned half of it at that point, so Glenn hooked me up, and I was supposed to. I came to New York and I was supposed to interview Rene Ricard, and he made it a real hard process and canceled a few times, and finally showed up, and then I like recorded whatever I thought I recorded, whatever he had to say, and the I don't know, I didn't press the right button or something, so it didn't work. And then he got Vito Schnarl to do it. So it didn't work. That's why you didn't see it. I drew a little picture, those pictures about like how to draw a cat, and you start with a circle and then you like add ears and stuff. So I did how to draw Andy Warhol. And they put that in.
Okay.
And then they had like a page where there was like quotations and stuff, and I got a few quotes or something. But no, the whole thing with the Rene was like, and he just like could only laugh. He could only laugh.
No, it's Andy Warhol is a famous like artist, so that was actually his magazine. He owned Interview, right? So, his company owned that magazines. So, but that's pretty cool that you did a story about it in the magazine. So there was an expedition that you did with Christie's, right, for the Warhol Museum, right? Did you do a special painting? It's the Sicily Art Project. It was in 2010. Do you remember that? Auction. It was an auction, a fundraiser.
For what?
Yeah, so this
Sicily.
Do you know about it?
It was a
was
fundraiser
a fundraiser.
for the Warhol Museum
Yeah.
in 2010.
Oh, yeah, was it? Why do they need to raise funds for it? They got zillions of dollars. Why do they? Yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Like, I had to paint on the back of a leather jacket for Sicily and whatever, I got a trip to Milan for that during
Oh, that's nice.
Fashion Week and stuff like that. And then they like auctioned these things off. How much money can you make? And how's that going to help the Warhol Foundation? I never got it. It was a scam. They spent zillions on this giant party in this giant building. And then there was 6 jackets to sell. And no, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, that's what that was.
That's what that was. Okay.
Okay, now
And you
I-
painted the jacket.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
I painted on the back. I painted a picture of Mark Twain holding hands with Edgar Allan Poe, because Mark Twain's all white suit and white hair, and Edgar Allan Poe was all black suit and black hair, and they both had mustaches, but they were kind of like negative and positive. But it didn't have anything to do with Sicily or the Warhol Foundation.
All right, cool. Lastly, tell us about the artwork here at Village Works. Are these all new works, or they were in your?
These are all new. These are all the ghosty and the witch and the werewolves over there is new. That's probably at this point it's about probably 4 years old or something. And that's like a wax museum on fire, and they're rescuing all the figures.
So
And in the wax, so the thing about these wax museum things is like when you paint a picture of somebody, then you're either going to get, if you do a portrait of somebody, they're going to say well, it doesn't really look like me or something like that. And if you paint pictures of other people, of famous people, then they say it doesn't look like them and stuff. But if you paint them as wax figures, they didn't look like them anyway. So you're not obliged to, whatever. And then you add the signifiers, like, if you put a curly wig on any little girl, it's going to be Shirley Temple.
Right.
If you put a blonde wig and sunglasses on any male figure, it's going to be Andy Warhol and stuff. So you just do the signifiers and stuff.
So that's Abe Lincoln, right?
There's Abe Lincoln, Washington, Kennedy, Marie Antoinette, and whatever those Frankenstein, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Beatles, in each of their different phases and stuff. Madame Tussauds, they got about 20 different Beatles, and lots of Madonnas, and they just had the heads on shelves, I guess. And every time they change, get older and stuff.
I actually thought that was Marie Antoinette, but I wasn't sure. But it is her. That's good. That's good. All right. And George Washington's pretty cool. Can't forget Abe, right? Tell that it's good.
No, see, yeah.
And Superman's in there
Lincoln,
too, right?
he's pretty easy to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of signifiers.
He's got yeah.
Some of the other ones are a little more obscure, but doesn't matter.
Some of these are good. Halloween's coming up, so some of these fit right in a Halloween story.
Yep.
So that's good. That's good. So this has been great, Rob. I got a little history lesson from you, and I'm gonna open up to the floor to any questions if there are any for Robert.
Nope. They're all clued in now. No, but they know everything. There's nothing left to ask. Right? Huh?
I see a question in here.
It seems like you were just always very kind of like content or complacent with where you were amongst all of these like celebrities. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, as
were
opposed to
you-
being
were
like
you actually-
starstruck or something.
Well, not starstruck, but I mean, like you didn't feel the competition or like the anxiety, because you seem very just like blasé about it.
Yeah. I mean, there.
And not because they're celebrities. I mean,
No, I don't. I.
but because of the market that was booming in the 80s.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel pressure, and that's probably, it's a good thing that I didn't or anything. I mean, otherwise they'd be making a movie about me instead of like some other artist that
But
disappeared.
you're also still alive. Like I think that. I mean, okay. Herring died of AIDS, not of drug overdose, but a lot of this fame, it's can be very destructive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it was. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if Jean-Michel had been like a little more, I don't know. Sometimes it's the fame, but sometimes it could just be like the way they are anyway. I don't know.
But what about the performance artists that they were performing at Judson Memorial Church? Like there was a lot more going on than just these pop icons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, were you involved in that at all?
I wasn't.
Like Cindy Sherman was getting her start, I think.
Yeah. No, I did. I stayed out of it. Basically, I did. I just, I'd go to openings and stuff like that because everyone did. But I wasn't. I didn't like pursue an art career at all. I mean, I just because I don't have the capabilities to do that kind of thing. It's just, and I didn't feel pressure because I didn't feel like I was like in competition. I mean, I didn't think that there was like a competition so much with any of the downtown art people. It didn't seem. I saw hierarchies and I saw cliques, but the cliques weren't like opposing each other or anything like that. They were just different groups of friends that had that much more similar interests and stuff like that. But I didn't really like pressure. Pressure is something that doesn't really happen to me. It happens to me on a small scale. Poor Joe's had to put up with it a lot and stuff. I don't do well. And that's probably, I don't do well under stressful situations, and that's why I avoided it. I understood quite early that, like, it's best to just, like, not even attempt something that's gonna, like, give me stress, because I'll just end up screaming and making nice people my enemies. But whatever.
So how do you and I guess this is being recorded, but you and Joseph, were you in the same circles in the 80s? Joseph and I have become somewhat close, so he's told me about his experience in the 80s.
Yeah, I do. He fell into it from me. I mean, I'm not saying because of me or anything like that, but yeah, he met all the people too, I mean, and you come to New York, and I'm sure he had the same feeling. You come to New York and you want to like see all that and be in on all that and stuff, and it wasn't hard, I mean, really, if you didn't meet Andy Warhol after about 6 months of being in town, or not even, I mean, and not like hang out with him, but just like, I mean, even see him walking down the street. I mean, you know, he walked down the street a lot. There was plenty of times to see him. And yeah, if you wanted to really like meet him, you could and stuff.
But I feel like it was so much easier than, like, it's so, I work in the arts now, and it's just so saturated,
Mm.
you know, with, you know, burgeoning galleries or
Yeah,
gallery owners
yeah.
or curators, and I feel like it was a niche market more so than, like, in Soho, like, when Soho was, you know, dilapidated and dangerous, and artists were living in lofts, you know, paying like maybe $300 a month. So it was easy, I think, just to meet these people and run in these circles. Like, you wouldn't, I feel like you wouldn't have that opportunity in 2021.
I think that that whatever community isn't as strong. I mean, it seems like what I'm noticing in the East Village here, it seems like that community is strong now, but it's not like an art-based community. It's like it's like just a lot of different people can be in the same group, and it's not really like, it doesn't need to have like a theme or like a common situation, whatever, likes or anything like that, it seems like. And it's more about like what's going on out there than what's going on in an art gallery or anything like that. And Soho was like, they had money, East Village didn't have money. And I think that the East Village was jealous of Soho for having all that money and stuff, and they would sure like to move from the East Village to get into one of those Soho galleries, but they weren't so interested in getting into one of those 57th Street galleries. Those were the really posh ones and stuff. But I don't know, Robert Miller had some kind of downtown-ish or like young artists and stuff. But other than that, it was just, they were all like big-time artists up in 57th and up Madison and stuff like that.
There was the Italian gallery owner in Soho. What was his name? He championed a lot of the abstract expressionists.
Castelli?
Castelli.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, that was the real thing. I mean, that was totally the real thing.
Yeah.
But he never really, and he was around like for the whole graffiti period and stuff, running his gallery. But nah, his stable was like totally blue chip.
Yeah.
And stuff. And Metro Pictures had a few. They were in Soho. They had a few, like Robert Longo and stuff like that. That was kind of considered new wave or something like that period and stuff. But so Metro Pictures was showing a lot of like younger stuff. But other than that, and then Mary Boone and stuff, and then new ones would come in like that. But I mean, Mary Boone was certainly not. That was when you hit the jackpot. If you were like East Village and stuff like that, and then if you got like something going with Mary Boone, it meant that you'd like done well for yourself anyway.
Super cool, man. I really enjoyed it. Rob, thanks so much for having the conversation, man. And it's much appreciated, bro. All right. Great.